most of the time, the biggest obstacle is yourself. It's the number one.
Yes.
Is how do I communicate so that things change?
How to give feedback constructively to a colleague, a co-worker, or anyone that you experience some issue with. Three really important steps that you can use in everyday life to address difficult situations.
Changed everything. Among us in my life, it changed everything. It was really practical. It says, oh my God, this is changing everything. And it works, it works from a young 10-year-old person to a CEO will use the same technique basically to be very effective. So remember, the first step is you give facts so that people know exactly what you're talking about and they cannot argue. Now the second step is to make them realize the impact.
So today it is a great pleasure to welcome Hervé Da Costa, CEO, Whisperer and leadership coach to the Powerman channel. Very warm welcome to you, Hervé.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Alexandra.
It is really a pleasure because today we're going to talk about this number one leadership skill. I'm very passionate about this and I always say it to all of my colleagues, to all of my friends. If you want to reach any success in your business life, in your career, in your personal life, you have to master this skill. So the topic for today, and we're going to talk to the number one expert about this, is how to give feedback constructively to a colleague, a co-worker, or anyone that you experience some issue with or something you want to talk about and it's maybe not comfortable. So just as a teaser for the viewers first, maybe ask yourself, what do you do in a difficult situation? Do you actually address the issue or do you wait and do nothing? Now, before we dive into that very important question, let's introduce you, Hervé. You are a true power mind. You actually worked in your career 22 years, if I remember that correctly from your website that I will link, 22 years in Silicon Valley. You actually contributed to the setup of Unix. That's an operation system of the 90s, if I'm correct.
Yes.
You helped startups to build and you were working at the prestigious Xerox Park in Silicon Valley.
Absolutely.
Sorry?
Yes.
Voila. And then you actually moved to France and you set up a really successful coaching and high impact leadership coaching business that you're operating successful all over the world, many countries, and you're helping CEOs, you're helping leaders to achieve greater success. So we're really talking to an expert here, and maybe to introduce you more personally to the viewers first, I have 3 personal questions, and then we're going to dive into the very important feedback topic. So first question to you is, what or who inspires you the most?
Oh, what inspires me the most? Actually, motivated people like you. Excited people that really believe in something and are passionate about it, and it's not about them. It's not about what they get, but it's about what they want to do out there, and they really believe it and they're really positive and kind people. And of course, most of the time they don't have the right skills, but they're really, really motivated. That inspires me a lot. People that really are open, they want to learn, they want to do something out there. That's really inspiring.
And in your coaching practice, I guess you see a lot of them, and that is also very uplifting, isn't it?
Not enough, you're right. But
okay.
Actually, I coach people that generally they come to me because they're in trouble, right? And
yes, of course. There's an issue, of course. Yeah.
They're in trouble, or they have a roadblock. And then they realize that without some kind of help, this is not going to happen. So they come to me in reactive mode, right? It's different when people come to you and says, I want to succeed and I hire the best. and I want to accelerate. So teach me the stuff because I've checked you, I checked your work, and I really want to succeed. These are very proactive people. Unfortunately, you have less of these people. I love those people, of course, but usually people just face a problem with their company, with their executive team, with their project teams, with their digital transformation or whatever thing, or the new job, or they want to get a job. So they really have a problem, so they need help. So then you find them.
That's the benefit also of coaching, because you can have somebody to help you genuinely with your problem. That's so powerful.
Yeah, to look at them differently, to see how you augment the problem. Most of the time, the biggest obstacle is yourself, and not the problem out there. So the problem is real, but you're making it so much bigger, and then it's interesting to discover why you make it difficult to get a job, what you make difficult to get the next job, why you make it difficult to get promoted, why you make it difficult to solve your problems at home, etc. You know.
That is usually case. Yeah, we need to always, first of all, address ourselves, because before we even think about other people. Exactly.
Yeah.
And right. It's so difficult to do that. I always say that, but it's so difficult. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, it's easy to say. It's really super difficult to do. Yeah.
Absolutely. So, number 2, what is your best ever book? One book that you wouldn't want to live without.
Okay, one of the book that I recommend to all my clients, to everybody, you know, which is kind of hard to read. You know, it's very thin. It's not a big book. It's maybe 100 pages big, you know, and that's this book, He. Understanding the Masculine Psychology by Robert Johnson. Okay.
Right.
It's not a big book. It was so powerful to me. It took me 10 years to finish it.
Wow. Okay.
You know, it's like right. It's easy to read, but it talks about the myth of the leader, really. So it's not just for men. It's just the psychology of a leader, right?
Oh, because that's interesting. Okay.
So there's a big debate about what's the feminine energy, what's the masculine energy, and how they match together, and how I have a masculine part and how I have a feminine part. It's complex to talk about it because there's such a polarity with women not having the right benefits and the right access, the fair access to business and so forth. So it gets mixed up. But basically, that's a whole different topic, is you as a leader. How do you lead your career? How do you lead your life? Right? And it applies to men and women. So this book is very useful to understand the myth of Parsifal, you know, the King Arthur.
Oh, the great heroes. Okay.
And how you become the knight at the round table. Okay, you want to become an executive, right? So of course you're going to be bringing to some kind of a executive committee. Therefore, now you are the knight at the round table. How does this work? How do you prepare you? And how do you grow up? You know, so a lot of my clients, they just say, well, I'm stuck at page 85. Say, yeah. So, you know, after that, that's the future, right?
Yeah.
But that's the past.
Right.
And so they can see themselves there. They can see, oh my God, this is all the mistakes I'm making. And here's
that's interesting. That's a life accompanying book kind of thing.
And you just, I'm stuck there. So what's next? You say, well, what's next is it's much bigger, right? And they go, oh my God. And I got stuck at one point because it became really very personal. It talked about spirituality, you know, and I go, oh, spirituality. Oh, well, not ready for that. And then I moved through it, and it's a book that I recommend to anybody.
All right, we will definitely link that one as well for our viewers. Thank you very much for that. Yeah. And finally,
it may seem high level. Huh? It may seem high level. That's why you need a coach.
Oh, I guess it's not. Yeah, I guess it goes really deep, right? This book.
Very, very deep, but it unlocks you. It really unlocks you. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So I have to look out for that book as well. Now, third and final personal question. What is your best tool in your life? That one tool that you say, okay, that's my thing. I can't live without that tool.
Okay, that's a tricky question because I have a whole toolbox, right?
Yeah, I was gonna say.
And and depending on the situation, I use a tool, right? And sometimes a tool is not right for that particular situation, and you want to use a different tool. But just to complete the previous question, the best book, the second best book, which is much more practical, is What is the Color of Your Parachute?
Ah, is that a new book by yourself?
Oh, no. That has nothing to do with me.
Okay, because I'm just thinking of the title of your book, which I will also link in the video description. What is the color of your sky, right?
Yeah, that's a whole different topic.
Okay.
But for really concrete, for your audience, I think an absolute must, because the previous one is really like deep advanced. You know, you already are a solid job, and then you have to really deal with your own psychology and the psychology of people. So that's really advanced. But the one that is absolutely a must is What Color is Your Parachute?
Okay. Wow.
Okay, by Richard Bowles. I don't know if he's still alive. This is a guy I called him he was over 90 years old, and he was still doing conferences, and he says, Hervé, I'm too busy. I have too many people approaching me. You know, I actually don't have time to read your books. Because I'm too busy.
He was passionate about his thing, yeah.
And he was over 90 years old, coaching
wow, that's amazing,
people and helping people succeed, you know. So his book is must. Absolutely.
All right, okay. Cool. I'm going to check that out as well. Thank you very much.
Very practical for business people.
Thank you very much. And the toolbox thing as well. I guess also that's the your special skill and expertise to actually use different tools and actually to know also when they're not valid. Yeah. That is a crucial thing.
Clearly, the one that you want to talk about today is clearly the number one. Tool, yeah. It's the number one. Yes. Is how do I communicate so that things change?
Communication, right? Actually, and that's a nice lead into our topic today. Communication is one of our major tools for any job, career, personal life. And the more years that pass, the more I get aware of that. We need to master what comes out of our mouth. It's so important, and we're mostly not aware of it. And I include my own experience. We're not aware of what we're babbling away the whole day. So communication is it. And let's dive right into the feedback topic. I'm going to link, obviously, your, for me, it's a famous article, you know, the one article, how to give, no, actually, hang on, I'm going to read out the title correctly. It's called Delivering Effective Feedback for Managers and Team Leaders. And it gives you 3 really important steps that you can use in everyday life to address difficult situations. Now, yes. Do you want to quickly give us, before we dive into the technique, you want to give us a context why this is so important?
Well, you know, I discovered it in the US. Okay, so the technique that I'm sharing with you is not from me. It's been practiced by tens of thousands of people, and I was initiated to it. And eventually, we used it and practiced it intensely as part of a workshop, and it changed everything. Everything. Among us in my life, it changed everything. It was really practical. It says, oh my God, this is changing everything. This is changing the game. So they forced us to use it, and it forced us step by step. This is how you do it, not this way, not this way. And then eventually later on, later on, I shared this with people working for me. I said, this is a must. If you want to work for me, that's the way you talk.
And can I just jump in there to just confirm that? Because when you mentored me in that 15 years ago, maybe for the US viewers, we know each other from 15 years ago when we worked together at this excellent university in France. And you told me this. And since then, also for me, it has changed my complete business experience. It really has changed my life. So thank you for that.
And it's absolutely instant, meaning in half an hour, in an hour, if you use this, you have already changed your life. It's that powerful.
And people will be grateful for it. That's the most rewarding experience. People then, after you've done it and you've used it in a conversation, people will say, oh, thank you. You know,
Yes.
I've never experienced someone who said to me, no, that was rubbish, blah, blah, blah. If you do it correctly, people will actually be, wow, this person cares for me. And also what I may add, what it did for me is people will not take it personally, because usually what happens, if you have a difficult situation at hand, people first of all take it personally and, oh, this person wants to tell me off, or this person wants to correct me, or this person is arrogant. She thinks she knows everything better. That's the human reaction. And your technique takes that out of the whole thing. It actually makes the other person feel respected. It makes the other person feel, oh, actually, I value you. I care for you. Instead of not saying anything, I care for you. I address the issue.
Yeah.
That is what I experienced.
Yeah, and it works, you know, it works from a young 10-year-old person to a CEO, right? Will use the same technique basically to be very effective. And it basically changes the game. Yes, indeed.
So would you like to give us the different steps? So the situation is...
Okay, let's imagine any situation. Just to give me a situation that could be maybe a conflict, somebody saying something, doing something you want to change, something you want to tell somebody. Let's come up with an example. Let's say somebody that talks too much in your meetings. Okay, so you have somebody that talks too much in the meeting, and after a while, you're getting upset. You know, says, again, this person is talking too much. So how would you make that person stop? Wrong way. You are talking too much.
Voila. That's where conflict usually starts.
And then person says, that's not what the other people are saying. What's your problem? And then you get into a conflict.
Yeah.
Right? So people don't do that. So everybody gets frustrated and you waste time, and it goes on, it goes on, it goes on. But that person that is talking too much may not realize that the impact is negative. The person talking too much may not realize that people are not interested in anymore. So they keep doing it because they think it's useful, or they think that's a normal way of doing it. And they're used to that. And nobody has ever told them, well, that's not the only way to be in a meeting. And although some of what you're saying is good, not all of it is useful. And there are better ways to do it. This person does not know that. Your job is to inform this person. So if you want to inform this person, you will try to find the right message so that this person is informed. If you just want to correct this person, it will be much more difficult actually to do it, because it's all about
That's an important point, actually. May I just underline that this feedback technique is not about changing the psychology of the person. In the first, what you just said, in the first instance, the aim is maybe to just inform and say, what is the impact of your behavior, right?
Yeah, you cannot change people, basically, right?
Yeah.
Try to change your husband or your partner or
my child
or your child. Okay, good luck, right?
Yeah, that's
try changing
another topic.
Yeah, try changing your parents, right? You'll see what will happen.
Oh my God.
And try changing your boss. That's really
another 30 videos.
Really risky, very risky. Yeah. But you can inform them. And because you inform them, their brain may change strategies. Okay? So the trick is you inform people so they decode it and they choose a different strategy. Right? And usually it's a survival strategy. It's not a success strategy. So you give them information and you say, you know, if you keep talking so much, this is what may happen to you. Or here's what people may think of you. Do you realize that? And people say, no. Really? That's really what is happening out there? And then they'll change strategy, and what you notice is actually a change of behavior.
Yes.
So people
sorry?
will decide to change, right?
That's the desired outcome. And also what you just said was an example of how you inform about the impact of the behavior.
Exactly.
Could you maybe give some more examples to the viewers of a phrase?
Very concretely. All right. So it's actually 7 steps, of which 3 are key. But the first step you may not realize is to decide to do it.
Oh, yes. So powerful. Exactly. Yeah.
You're right. That's a huge step. And you say, okay, I'm going to inform this person because this cannot go on. So you need to be courageous and just say, this may work. That's a lot
of courage. Yeah.
Yeah. This may work. This may not work. I'm taking a risk. But it's better than doing nothing. So you're already a hero because you decide, okay, I'm going to do it. So you go to this person and you, second step, ask for permission.
Very important one. Yeah.
Right? You say, may I offer you a piece of feedback?
And offer is the powerful word here, because it's like, I remember you said that to me always, feedback is a gift. It's something that you offer. It's not telling off. It's not negative. It's positive.
Yeah. And it's a whole different, because it's about helping them succeed, not about myself getting rid of a problem. That's a whole different thing. If you really want to get rid of the problem, you stand up and you leave the meeting.
Yeah, exactly. That would be.
You don't need to talk. I'm fed up with this guy. Then the whole issue is the courage to leave, right? If you leave, then that's a whole different message. It's all about you. Now, this
I'm
is
just
about
laughing because I see you capable of doing that. Just imagine the situation.
I just stand up and say bye, and says, "Well, I want to give you money. I want to hire you, coach. Well, bye. Keep your money." And they go, "Oh, I need to change strategy. Sorry." And then you start talking. But this is not the case. You're just saying, okay, can I give you some feedback? Because it's something that's not working.
Permission.
I would like to offer you some feedback about it. Most of the time people would say yes. Okay.
And also, may I just underline what I have experienced in doing that? If you ask in such a way that you radiate that positive energy of saying, I want to offer you, can I help you succeed? If you radiate that, people will feel that you come with a good intention.
Yeah. Well, you don't say, can I help you succeed? That may turn them off.
I want to say, if you what is the right word? If you show that through your behavior, our body language shows that.
Yeah. You don't come with a, can I help you not being a jerk?
Yeah, exactly. Oh, that way around.
And they go, no, no, you can say, there's a piece, there's something I would like to share with you, and it's about your impact. I would like to give you some feedback. Are you open to this? You go directly. Don't beat around the bush, or don't turn around. Just say, there's some feedback I'd like to offer. Are you open for this? Most of the time they say yes. Now, these are, if they are colleagues or your partner or your friend or your parent or definitely your boss, if they are work for you, your job is to give it to them, right? Then you just say, I have some feedback to give you. Are you ready for this? It's a different kind of permission. All right. So so when are you going to be ready? Okay. So now, let's talk about it in half an hour. Let's meet over there and come to my office, or meet in your office, and it take just 3 minutes.
Could be also later, it doesn't have to be on the spot.
There's something I need to tell you, okay? So then you're ready, there in front of you. Now we start the conversation. All right?
And just for the viewers as well, I've experienced that once. I had one lady who went to me, no, I don't feel comfortable about it. In that situation, what I did was I just accepted it. And we didn't talk because she didn't want to. And all I said was, okay, but if you want to, I'm here for you. That was it.
Well done.
Voila. And I just respected it.
Well done. Because if you don't have any link, connection, or authority, if you actually do it, it can be violent. It's not the intention of it.
You don't want to force people or kind of impose yourself. That's also what usually leads to conflict.
But there are some situations where you have really a bad person in front. no permission, you just give it, you know, because you need to defend yourself and stop them.
It depends. Yeah, you're right. It depends on the context. Also the urgency. How much is the urgency maybe to rescue something that is happening to the group at the moment, right? I guess you have lived through situations.
Sometimes you have to do it because you skip over, you just skip over the permission thing and you just give it because he needs to stop right now. Okay, so now what do you say? All right. So you actually give, number one, facts. Not you are talking too much. That's not a fact. That's my interpretation. All right. So you don't give interpretations. You give facts. Well, the meeting has been going on for 30 minutes. You have been talking for 20 minutes.
Just an observation. Actually, what helped me in learning that it's so hard to separate judgment from fact is to focus on what can I observe.
Yeah.
And to just give that. I observed this.
You have been talking straight for about 7 minutes with no interruption. You have interrupted me 5 times. I could not finish my sentence 5 times. I've been interrupted by your comments. And this first comment took 2 minutes, second comment 3 minutes, other comments took so many things, facts. In the previous meetings, I noticed that most of the time you were, out of the 5 speakers, you were mostly the speakers that spoke the most.
I noticed, or I observed.
I noticed.
Yeah.
I noticed that the other speaker didn't think. But I also noted that some people started looking at their computers.
Oh yes, what happened with the others as well to mirror that back? Yeah.
I noticed that people were just not looking at you in the eyes and doing other things. I noticed some people leaving. And all of those. So facts. And he says, first of all, that's the first thing. Second thing, now here's the impact on me.
The impact, exactly. Now we get to the important message. This is what you said initially, the information about what it does, right?
Right. So you said, well, you know, I noticed this, I noticed that, I noticed that, I noticed that, I noticed that. So it's the context is very clear now. The person knows what you're talking about. And he's not denying, he's not saying, no, that's not true. So if you give an interpretation, people will say that's wrong because you've given an interpretation. But if you give facts, so like scientific facts, you've been speaking for 5 minutes just now. Say, oh, okay. Now, the impact on me is I feel frustrated. So you say, I feel frustrated, not you frustrate me.
The I messages, yes. Can you give some more examples, please, of the I messages? Because that's also something that helped me a lot.
I don't find the time to finish my sentences. I cannot, I'm unable to say what I say. There's a lot more I want to say, and I don't find the space to say it. I feel like there's no space for me to speak. And you talk about your emotions, or you talk about the consequence of that. I interpreted this as other people. I see other people not listening to you. I interpret this as they're not interested.
I interpret this. That's so powerful, because what is usually going wrong when things go into conflicts? People say things like judgments. They say, you have been talking for 10 minutes and it's just the meeting, it's just going downhill. And that's a judgment. That's something we should not do, right? Because then it says, could you give us some more examples about how to describe effectively the impact of some person's behavior?
Okay, so remember, the first step is you give facts so that people know exactly what you're talking about and they can not argue. Now, the second step is to make them realize the impact that this has. Okay, so they don't really know this. So here's the impact it has on me. So you're very careful about how you say it. Don't say, you are talking too much, or you are not respecting me, or you are irritating me, or you're making angry, or you're being too aggressive, or you are, the you is not a good way to start, because the other person will feel attacked. So then they will defend themselves. But if you talk about yourself, then they cannot argue. They say, well, I don't feel listened to. I don't see any way to speak, or I feel really bad about this, or I don't like this, or I spent a lot of time and I feel frustrated, right? For instance, you've told them last time I was not able to do this, I was not able to do this, I was not able to do this. Or because of what you did, I had to redo this, I had to start all over, I had to work harder, I had to fix a whole bunch of things because you did this, all right?
Impact, so yes. This is the impact on the work even. You could even say, what has it on the work? Yeah.
Right. And I've seen other people do this as a result of this, okay? Mm. And I don't know how they feel about it, but this is what I saw they did as a result of this. We had to stay longer. We work later. We had to start all over again. There was confusion. Then we had to have other meetings. There were consequences. All right? That's the whole consequences. And then you say, here's a feeling about it. I really feel frustrated about it.
Mm. And that is important also. Sorry to interrupt you, but I will link, obviously, your magnificent videos on this. There's one video where you were coaching a group and you did this role play and you took out this lady random. It was just an example, and you had them role play a situation. And basically your message to them was also, don't say, I feel frustrated about this. You say, I really feel frustrated. You really give your real true feeling, and you practice this with it, because actually also this is like a craft. I really believe it's a craft. It's a speaking craft, and you need to practice it.
Yes.
You know, it's not some fluffy soft skill. People always refer to that as a soft skill. I just want to add that. That's my experience. It's not. No. It's a speaking craft. And you have to say, I really feel frustrated. You have to give that feeling. So yeah, that is so, you know.
It's really a technical skill, you know. If you give a speech to 100 people, you'll practice it as part of your competence, right? Yeah. Then that's not soft skills. It's absolutely must skills, you know.
It's
otherwise
a very hard one. Yeah, it's really hard.
Basically you're just not being competent enough, right? You have to really structure it so that people understand what goes on for real. And then you just say, okay, impact. And then you say, here's how I feel frustrated about it. Not, well, I feel frustrated about this. No, I feel frustrated about it. Be real. Yeah. And then they finally understand, wow, what I'm doing creates this.
And that's the important information, isn't it? That's really valuable. And also when I receive feedback, it makes you realize it's actually really a gift, because nobody gives you that that dark spot in your self-perception. You know, you never see yourself. Yeah. So it's really a gift when somebody I care for you. I give you that perception, what you have on others, or I give you that effect that you have on others. It's really helpful.
Right. So it's a different reality, because the other person thought that's an interpretation. This is working well. I'm okay. I can do that. Or they're responding to their own emotions. They give themselves permission to do whatever. So they scream, they yell, they hurt you, they insult you. They say whatever things because they feel they need to do it. But when you tell them, hey, when you do this, here's what happens. Are you sure you want to do this? And then usually they just go, oh my God, I didn't realize that's how you felt about it. And that's not my intention. But that's not the third step. First step, information. Second step, impact. Third step, request. This is what I need. This is what I want. Okay. And then you just say, I need to have time to speak. I'd like you to not interrupt me. I'd like you to speak for 10 minutes and let other people speak. Or I'd like you to be on time at my meetings. Or I'd like you to be prepared at my meetings. Or I'd like you to be, reading the articles we need to read to be prepared for this.
Yeah.
And
actually, can I just underline here what you're just saying is you giving very concrete requests. In my personal experience, when I used this technique, actually at the beginning, my biggest mistake was I then said, can you be more charismatic, or can you be more alive in meetings? But the person didn't actually know what I mean by that. Alive in meetings. What does it mean? So I guess also what you're illustrating is the more precise your request is, the more helpful it is, right?
Yeah, because it's not about being, it's not about be nice. No, it's behavior. Yeah. We're talking about all of these are behaviors. We are managing not people, but behaviors. So if you understand, instantly you're a better manager. We are managing behaviors, not state of mind or anything. So you talk, here's your behavior, you did this, here's the impact, and here's my emotion on it. Now here's a behavior I need, or here's a behavior I expect, or here's a behavior that would work for me. So
that's so powerful, this one. Actually.
And you need to tell them that, and maybe they'll do it, maybe they don't do it, but here's a behavior that will work better for me. And says, wow. So if you come on time at my meetings and you participate, or if you have read what I ask you to read, that's what I need.
And
so next time, I'd like you to do it. Yes.
And that makes it also more concrete, not only concrete, but it makes it less overwhelming for people. That's what I experienced with it. If you say, okay, I would love to have that behavior, then yes, I can do that. It becomes easier, because what we don't want with this technique is we don't want to change anyone's personality, right? We just want maybe a behavior, a little contribution. And then they say, it's just that. Yeah, I can do that. That's the reactions I got, you know?
Exactly. So you are very effective and very good if you are very precise in the first part. And you say, so you have to really kind of calm your emotion, because that's usually not want to say. Well, you want to scream, you want to slap them, you want to do something, right? And you have to calm down and say, okay, here's what you've done, here's what you said, here's the action you said, you use this particular word, you came to my meeting, the meeting was at 8, you're here at 8:10. Okay. Yesterday, the meeting was at 9. You arrive at 9:15. Okay. And this is. Don't let your emotions take over. Here's what happens. Now, I heard people say this. I saw people do this. These are not interpretation. These are facts. And you give a lot of it. A lot. Boom, boom, boom. Very meaningful. Right there, they understand.
And that then a very concrete request in terms of what could make a difference, right?
Right there. You know, let's say somebody insults you. You are a bad person. You know, you say, oh, you're sloppy. And you said, you are sloppy.
Voila, it's a fact.
In front of these 10 people in the meeting. They can't say no. Well, I didn't say that. You said you are sloppy in front of these 10 people. And you said that talking about me. Now, let me tell you the impact on me. I felt humiliated. They cannot say you're not humiliated. It's your emotion. But if you say you are humiliated me, they will
that's
say,
a whole different thing,
hold on. This is not what I did. It's not, because that's not the intention.
Yeah. And that is where the practice comes in, because I realized it took me some time to do that, but it's just practice. You need to practice it. And sometimes also, the calming the emotions, what I did then simply because I was like so annoyed by people, and I realized, no, what I need to do is I need to calm myself, and I practiced speaking it, and then I offered the feedback the next day. That helped me, for example, even if I know sometimes it's better to do it in the situation, but I was too annoyed by it, and I didn't want the other person to feel that anger as a kind of, that they get offended then.
Yeah,
that's
even
not really professional, right?
yeah, that's right. So we're developing our emotional intelligence, right?
Yes.
Eventually, you'll be able to say it fairly quickly. Okay. Oh, wow. You said this, you said this, you said this, and you directly go to the emotion, and this is very courageous, He says, I really feel bad about this. It's like, oh my God, I want to run away. That's all. I want to leave the meeting.
That's
I
how
want
it
to.
makes me feel, exactly.
I don't want to talk to you anymore.
Mm.
And you don't leave, but you say, my emotions, is what is happening here. So embarrassed. I want to run away. And
What
you
you
look
actually, sorry to interrupt, but I'm just hearing already some of the frequently asked questions will be to this. What do I do in that kind of situation when I have a situation like this? I want to give feedback, but the person I want to give it to is my superior.
Yeah.
What would you advise in that situation?
Okay. Now you have to be careful, because if you don't have credibility, it will not work. Okay. If you have credibility and influence on this superior, they'll see that as good information, because you've already done this before. They've seen you do to other people, right? If they see you effective giving feedback for everybody around you and people working for you, you have credibility. But if you've not seen you this and you go to them, you're going to them to make your life more comfortable. And everybody goes to them to make their life comfortable, right? Take a number, take a ticket. Everybody goes to the boss to complain about something.
And then the boss has to sort it out, exactly.
Or you didn't do well, you didn't do well. And this boss is going to say, I see you later. But if you just start with positive feedback instead of negative feedback, and says, you did this, you did this, you did this, you did this, impact, that was great. This was super efficient. That was effective. That was this. Please do this. Then you use a whole same tool to build a good relationship.
That's actually very powerful and important, that the same technique goes also for positive feedback. And we always forget, that's an important one as well. We always forget about that in the urgency of everyday life business, that we need to give positive feedback as well. It's so important.
Yeah. You give 5 elements of positive feedback for 1 element of negative feedback. So 5 is money in the bank. 1 is taking money away.
Yes, very good one.
So we give positive feedback, and eventually there will be a time where it didn't work. Then you did same way. Facts, impact, request. Fact, impact, request. All right?
Very, very important, yeah.
So it's really more steps than this. The first one is actually you deciding to do it, and then you ask for permission. And then number 1, facts. Number 2, impact. Number 3, request. Now, the other facts step there is test your mutual understanding.
Very good.
Right? So I say do the first 3 just one way, no interruption. Facts, impact, request, as quick as possible, 30 seconds. Boom. And then says, what do you think? That's and people will just say, oh wow. They may have questions. They may have reactions. They may decide not to do anything, but you've done your job, And then the last step usually is thank you.
Very important to thank, actually, because remember, it is a gift. It's not something negative. It's something positive because you cared for the other person. Yeah. And what you just said as well is so important, that actually you build a relationship with this. What you said before about the 5 times positive, 1 time, then ways to improve, that is building a relationship with this person, isn't it?
Yeah. And then you get really better at it, and then you simplify it. You get into situations, you're in a restaurant and somebody is not paying attention to you, or they make you wait. Yes. They make you wait, and you just say, then they come here and says, well, I've been waiting for 30 minutes, for 30 minutes. I feel like I want to leave. Or I feel like you don't need any more customers, or I feel disregarded. boom.
Even in those little situations in life, it can help so much. And usually what people do, or what I also did, was not saying anything, isn't it? So it really can help to address those uncomfortable situations in everyday life. And the other person, as you said as well, doesn't really do it on purpose. Perhaps the person doesn't really perceive it like that. That's the important thing to remember.
Hey, I was here first. You took 5, 6 people. Should I leave? Boom. That's an indirect way to give feedback, right?
Yes, very good.
But you give the facts. He says, this person was there before me. This person was there before me. No, this person was there after me, after me, after me, after me. And you took care of these people, but not me.
They're already having the dessert.
I feel frustrated.
And I'm dead. I don't feel hunger anymore. I'm lying here on the ground.
Right. And you can joke, right? You can joke. I feel like I want to steal their food. What do you think? And they say, "Oh, sorry, sir. Sorry." Okay.
Actually run over to the table and grab their food. Yeah, exactly.
I've been waiting here. You serve everybody but me. I'm asking myself, maybe I should steal the food from here. And what do you think? And then they get the message. And that's a smart way of doing it. Yeah.
Absolutely. So private life as well, any situation. And let's remember, maybe as a final note, it is also for positive feedback. And that's a very nice, I would say, end spirit for this video, because what we do, all of us, I include myself, too little in everyday life, because we're also hectic and stressed, is we don't give enough positive feedback. And it can start with, "Oh, I noticed you did this today. I really appreciate, because it makes me feel good,"
Yeah, absolutely. Like Alexandra, you take all this energy and to do all this work to get Zoom to work. I am impressed.
Thank you. And it makes me feel good as well. Thank you. No, that's wonderful. Thank you so much, Hervé, for sharing this. Now, if the viewers want to get in touch with you, what I will do is I will link, of course, your webpage. Viewers can discover also a huge array of wonderful workshops, because what you also do is you help people discover their hidden resources, if I might say, in my words, to achieve greater success in life. And I think it is worthwhile also linking your YouTube channel. Feel free to click through that, because it's a huge array of things you help with. And you also do that very hard personality development work, don't you?
Oh, yeah. I help people really take charge of their lives, really, to live instead of being reactive and adaptive, to be very proactive. So you can be proactive about your job. You can be proactive about your family life. You can be proactive about any aspects of your life. You are really the architect of your life. And so, it really changes overnight sometimes,
And what it can do, working with Hervé, from my own perception, is it really changes your levels of consciousness, if I may add, because that's really the most powerful. I think I learned from your advice back 15 years, is how can I think about a certain situation in a different way?
Absolutely.
Start with that easy question.